Hello, Maura. Welcome to my unnamed podcast. And thank you for being here. And thank you to our amazing audience and sisterhood sisters, Lauren, Onig, and Linda, who are here with us, supporting the space, helping to hold the space. And this is a podcast. Oh no, the pigs are here. This is a podcast that is um, not a traditional podcast. So it's not just about me speaking or Mara speaking, but it's also about bringing in the collective field of other people that also want to be a part of this conversation, that also want to share their input and hold space for what we are going to go into. Okay, a little background. Maura and I met a couple of months ago in February, and she came to an immersion that I host called Awaken Thy Soul. And I remember the first call that we had, and she just looked at us in the screen. I was with Jeff, and she looked at us and she was like, I feel like I just have to be there. I know that these are my people. I just need to be there. And it was really beautiful. And from that moment on, I thought, I want this person on my team. I want this person in my life. And Maura has a really powerful story. Actually, I don't even know yet how powerful it really is, because I've never really asked you about it in this way. We work together in private coaching, and we've done a lot of processes together, and I've held space for a lot of different versions of your evolution. And this podcast is, or this talk is about her journey. So the title of the talk is called From Pharmaceuticals to Feeling, or From Pharmaceuticals to Freedom. And I want to leave it open for Maura to really title her story at the end, or for you to really decide what is your story. And one of the big contexts that we navigate in together is about story making, that as humans we make stories, and we are making stories that either serve us, or we're making stories that either keep us in our shadow world or our low drama. And so I'm really wanting to open the door for you to share your story, and the story that is empowering to your life going forward, so that you leave here feeling like you are the creator of your life, and that you really did the work to be where you are now. And thank you. So, hello, Maura.
Hello, Charlotte. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on here, for inviting me to do this, and to thank you for holding the space for me to, let my story breathe. And it's funny because there's been a few times where I've told my story, and it's going to be very different this time, I feel. And I can sense that this is a big thing, and I feel a lot of fear right now, just being here and sharing it and opening up about everything. And so that to me is a sign that I'm in the right space. And so just going back.
Okay, yes, I want to start with, where did this all begin for you? So the story that I have about you is that you were put on pharmaceuticals for some reason, and then something in you wanted something else. So you took another path, and you created a new way for you to be in the world. So I'm curious, where did it all begin, and when did you start getting told that you were not okay? And how did that feel, and what was your life like? And Yeah, I want to invite you to go to the beginning.
Okay. Um, not I feel a lot of sadness coming up as I am sharing this, like coming from the beginning. So I've always felt a lot of fear, and also growing up, I was in a family where there was always something wrong. And so with me, it was like I had a lot of stomach problems, and I had a lot of like feeling what we'd call, like, I guess, anxious, but it was like I was going to doctors all the time. I was always like in the hospital, or trying to figure out what was wrong with my stomach, and like really feeling like I don't know like what's wrong with me, and being quiet. And really what it was like a lot of fear, because I was suppressing my emotions so much. So like going back to it, it was like I was in a space where in my family, my the dynamic was that everyone had their own things going on, and that none of it was okay, and that I didn't have space to even be. So it was like these stories on top of stories of like who I am is not okay. Expressing myself is not okay. Also, there's something physically wrong with me, apparently, and we can't figure out what's wrong with me. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling like alone and not part of this family, and etc. And I was really confused as a kid. I would actually like in elementary school, there was one year where I missed like 65 days of school because I was just staying home. Pretty now I look back at it and I was like, it was out of fear. I was just scared to go anywhere. Um, but it was like I would hide to go and cry. I like it was this unspoken thing of I couldn't even really speak. And so I guess that's like the beginning layer of it. And then as I got older, and being in middle school, that's when I first started noticing feeling really like how I'm feeling is not okay. Like being crying all the time is not okay. People telling me that it's not, like, what's wrong with you, or like you need to shape up or whatnot. And also seeing, my mom and my dad, they never talked to each other. They would talk through me. So I was like the communicator for them. And my older sister always had these things going on with her. So it was like, no matter what was going on, that was what was like the focus. And I was the responsible one. So I was the one taking care of everything. And so in middle school is like when I started to feel really, really dark and really depressed. And I began having like suicidal thoughts in middle school. And I remember feeling like I didn't know where to put them. Like I was like writing really dark poetry, and I was like, um, yeah, feeling like really sad all the time. And then, but growing up in a white suburb that's very fortunate, and there's a lot of things that like it could be worse, right? Like, and so it was really confusing, and it was like I felt a lot of shame for the way that I was feeling, and it was really that I was like feeling alone and not feeling connected to my family, and my family not connecting to each other, and us not being a family. And then yeah, having these like suicidal thoughts of like not wanting to be here, not feeling worthy of being on the earth, and like wanting to hide from everything. And I want to set my intention right now to go deeper with my story, because I feel like I'm still surface level. Like there's more that I could be saying. And so I'm just seeing myself in middle school, like confused. And I remember actually like sharing some of my dark poetry with a friend, and them being so freaked out that they went to their parent, and then like I got in trouble for it, or not in trouble, but like talked to, and then like I got scared that like something was going to happen, or that I was wrong and I was bad. And it was like it felt like this like thing of like, what's going on with you? whatever. So I would just like hide it away. And then in going into high school is like when
I have a question. When you were so in middle school, when you were feeling this sadness, you were writing this dark poetry, what were you sad about?
mm, I was sad about losing connection with my dad. He was like my best friend when I was really little, and then he completely left, but he still lived with us. He like checked out.
Hmm.
Um, I was really sad about that. And I was really sad about the way that so my older sister was like drinking all the time and doing drugs, and I was always covering for her. And that made me really sad. And I felt sad for my mom because she felt alone and everything. And so it was just like, fuck, like, what is going on? I felt really sad about that. And then I also felt like, fuck, like, there's something wrong with me. Like, I'm in this family. I don't understand what's going on. And I'm not enough. Like, I am not able to fix it. I am not able to, like, my sister would also take a lot of her anger out on me. And so when she was bullied, she would bully me. And so a lot of those stories came from that as well, of her like just telling me that like, yeah, that I'm not loved, and like would lock me in a room while she was drunk and be like, you're not loved, like you're ugly, like nobody wants you, blah, 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 and like all this stuff. And so like that really stuck with me. So it was like, okay, my family doesn't love me. I don't love me. Like, fuck. So going into high school, I really like, and in middle school, I started like dating people serious, like constantly. I know this, you're like, what does this have to do with anything? But that was my way of coping. It was like I felt safe. It was like, okay, this person loves me. You love me, right? Like, let me stay with you. And so in high school, I remember I was the one that was adamant. I was like, okay, there's medication, like there's something wrong with me. I need to take medication. Like I need something that's going to fix my brain. I need to be fixed because there's something wrong with me. So um, and being with doctors, like I'm reflecting back now of like, it was always very confusing because I would say like I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel, like I have all these thoughts and stuff. And so that's where I learned about the medication of like, oh, this really helps people, and like this is potentially what can help you. So I saw it as like this like golden fix of like, oh my God, okay, if I take this, then I'll be like everyone else and I will be okay.
Hmm. Yeah, if you take this pill, then you'll be like everyone else and then you'll be okay.
Yes. And I I started taking medication at 15, antidepressant medication and like anxiety medication, which I do anxiety because now I see it as fear. And then uh
So do you see it as fear or do you experience it as fear?
so what's trippy for me is that it's like I'm still training myself to be like, this is fear. So
Mm-mm.
when I'm in Costa Rica, or I'm at possibility management, like expand the box, or I'm at Awaken Thy Soul, I'm like, okay, this is fear. And then I notice coming back here, I'm like, anxiety, fear. And like my mind combusts.
Okay.
So it's a very weird experience coming back to modern culture and being in the US. and being around, like my mom is a psych nurse and my sister is on a bunch of medications, and so I'm surrounded by it, of like Western mental health way of doing things.
Okay. So you're 15 and then you chose to go on antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication.
Yes. And what keeps coming up for me that's important to mention is in these like relationships that I keep going through and coping of boyfriends, there's this story too of I'm crazy. And so it was like, oh, I have to take my meds because I'm crazy, or like I'm not always going to be like this. It was like I got on them and then I was like, I don't want to be on these forever. Like I want to like be able to get, it was so confusing because it was like, okay, this pill's supposed to like help me and then I'm supposed to get off of it. So then I don't understand what it's doing. Like there was no real like information around it.
Yeah, yeah. That's super interesting. Like you take it without any idea of what it's doing, just assuming that it's doing something and that you'll feel better somehow from it, and then you can stop. Like it helps
Yes.
you, and then you can ditch it, and you're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in high school, my like I keep wanting to say my anxiety because it's like the things that were like treated were my anxiety. So it was like my anxiety, my fear got worse. I started drinking a lot. Like I was like drinking out of control and on these medications, which is not good. And then they added more medications and I ended up uh becoming so suicidal that I went to a in inpatient psych ward in high school.
Hmm.
And I feel a lot of sadness coming up.
Yeah, you totally like as you know, this is a space.
um, I remember because I was drinking so much to numb like what was going on in my family life and the fact that I felt so like alone and so out of place and then with these partners that I, you know, now I realize like subconsciously it's like choosing people to confirm stories. But at that time it was like boys who would be like, yeah, you're crazy. Like, what is this? What are you doing? And also friends, you know, like I really didn't have my center at that time. I really was always like there's like this codependency. I was always finding either a friend or a boyfriend or someone to follow to tell me what to do because I didn't trust myself at all. I was like, the decisions that I make are not right. They're not okay. I am not right. I am not okay. And so I need to find someone that knows and follow them and do what they're doing. And like that led me down a really dark path. It's when I really started drinking a lot and making decisions that that didn't align with me. And I was on these medications too. So it was like, there was one night I got super drunk and I was taking all these medications. And the next day, like my face blew up. It was so swollen. And I was in so much fear. And I was like, and I went to my friend and she was so not there for me, like, so not there. And in fact, like I asked to not see specific people that I saw the night before, and then we like went and she like invited them, and it was like, what the fuck? And so the next day I was like, I went into the hospital. And yeah, when I was in the psych ward, I remember like panicking. I was really panicking, having it like what's called a panic attack. I don't even know if like I'm still combusting and crumbling of like all these different terms, right? And I remember going up to one of the staff there and saying like, hi, like I'm experiencing like extreme anxiety, extreme fear, like I can't breathe, like I need help. And the person was like, well, what do you usually do for this? And I was like, I don't know, like that's why I'm here. Like I don't know. And like that was really scary to be like in this place where like you can't go outside, you're with these other people, all these like everyone lines up to get medication and then you like stay in this one room, and it's like it's a very freaky experience because like once you get yourself in there, like you can't leave for like 3 days, and then you can sign yourself out. But I didn't want to sign myself out because I wanted to get better before I left. Like I wanted to like get better. And I remember like making friends with people there, and then like people being like, this was like always something that people would say to me is like, oh, you seem so happy and so fine, like what's wrong with you, why like why are you even here? And so it was like in the places, because I was really good at masking and at hiding things because I had to do that my whole life. So it was like even in these places where like it's okay to not be okay, I wasn't okay to be there because I was apparently happy and like had everything. And so it was like no matter where I went, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you didn't feel like you could be you in either of those worlds.
Yes. And I'm just like sensing right now, I'm like, what is relevant to this conversation right now? Because there's so many different threads and like all these different things I can go down and whatnot. But it's like, what is like really important?
Yeah. So w- if there was someone listening to this that is in your same position or was in your position or is on pharmaceuticals or is off of them but doesn't know what to do or like yeah what can you transmit that would support someone that's going through something similar, and maybe you can speak about like what happened, so how you got to where you are now, which is like I sense you're still transitioning out of it, but you're at a point where something big has shifted already and not
Mhm.
that much time. So yeah, do you want to go with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So what I will say is that I've tried like pretty much all of the different antidepressants. I've tried every single one of them. And then I switched over from SSRIs to NRIs, which is it works on a different transmitter in the brain. And that also didn't work. And so I ended up at a point where I was on like 6 different medications for like ADHD, then insomnia because the Adderall was too much. And so then I needed something for sleep. And then I needed something for the depression. And then I needed something for the anxiety. And then I needed something for XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. So going,
It's so wild. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind to think that, like, in what world is that okay to, like, there's nothing about that that makes sense to me, you know? Like, it's like, yeah, it's really this program that, like, we are not okay and we need other people to fix us. Like, I just feel it so much, like, gnawing in all the messaging in modern culture.
yes, definitely. And I've wanted to get off of medication for a long time, like through college. So I'm 28 now, but through college, I wanted to get off of medication. And it was like the doctors were saying like it's, like you're unstable, it's not the right time. And honestly, in college, I attempted to take my life. And I did that using the medications that I had. And then instead of going into another psych ward, I knew that that wasn't beneficial, so I told them that it was an accident. It's just like, it's an accident, like, and I was like, okay, fuck, I gotta figure this out. So then I like got into yoga and meditation, and that's a whole life journey, but stayed on medication. So then the next iteration of that is like when I like at my goal was to get off of medication, but then as I was working more, like constantly working, and having like a lot of traumatic relationship stuff happening, it was like I needed these like crutches, these band-aids to keep myself together, to keep going. Like I was so burnt out from working all the time, and from like not being allowed to feel, and not feeling safe in the spaces that I'm in ever. And then with the psychiatrist that I was seeing, I it's so funny, like I had one really good one growing up. And then there was another one that I had in California, and the psychiatrist like was always late to the appointments. And when I went to talk to him, he was like, okay, remind me what you're on. And I was like, okay, this is like XYZ, what I'm on. And then he would be like, okay, is it working or is it not working? What do you think? Like, and
Whoa.
then, yeah, so like they often ask you, like, what do you want to be on? And people see commercials.
Holy shit.
Yes. And it's like, so, or they'll hear from a friend, like a lot of my family takes medication. So I'm like, okay, I heard about this one. I want to try this one. And they're like, okay, we'll take you off of this one and we'll put you on that one. And like in the meanwhile, it's like there's all these side effects, all these crazy things happening, plus birth control, which we don't need to get into right now.
Another episode on that.
Yeah. um,
Really quick, did anyone ever ask you, like, hey, what's going on in your life? Like, did anyone ever try to discover what the root cause was for you?
so I want to say yes, but not in the way that you're asking. So yes, doctors or therapists, like psychiatrists or therapists, they're there to listen and to hear like what's going on. And then a therapist is there to like listen or to give you some coping skills.
Yeah, coping skills.
To
Hey,
see what's going on.
okay, good luck. Here's a coping skill. Just, you know,
Right.
okay.
And a psychiatrist is like, okay, well, here are the pills that you can take for these things that you're experiencing. And so for a long time, I was like only on, only on, I think two medications, two or three. And then I was getting so burnt out, and so like I was in such a survival mode state that I wasn't sleeping at all. And my fear was so high. And really, like, what I'm seeing is like my body, the universe, like everything was like, this is not it. This is not it. Like, stop what you're doing. And process and deal. Like it's like 27, because this like big huge thing happened like 27, 28, like when I like crumbled, like lost my job and like all this stuff. It was like, hey, like stop fucking working yourself into the ground and taking all these pills, and look at the huge bag of shit that is weighing you down, which is your emotions and feelings and all these things that like you haven't processed, that I hadn't processed or really like ever felt okay to process.
Mm.
And yeah, so I ended up going on to 6 different medications because like they kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, like, I really think this would help you. I really think this would help you. Like, and I would be like, no, I don't want to do that right now. Like, I'm actually trying to get off of medication. And yeah, and I didn't have my center in anything. It was like I'd give my center away to, I remember like going to a psychiatrist and being like, okay, here's my problems. Like, what do you think? What do you recommend? Like, what do I need to be fixed? Because I really was like, okay, they have the answer. They know. Like, there needs to be something wrong with me because I'm not able to function at work, when really it's like, no, that's because I'm working insane hours in toxic lighting at a computer screen all day, plus like whole other shit with this ex-boyfriend, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But to stay on track, it's like, to someone watching this who's either like on a bunch of medication and like wants to get off of them, or is curious about it, or is angry hearing about like the process, or like is being triggered by someone coming off of medication because you really feel that you need it. It's like, I hear you and I see you, because I've been all of those people.
Mm.
And that really is like the journey. It's like, where you're at is where you're meant to be with it. And if you're watching this, I'm like, there's a reason, and there's something in this for you. And so what really began to shift for me was when I went to Awaken Thy Soul, that retreat that you held in February. And I, at that point, I had been not working. I had gone to another outpatient psych program
Mm.
where you're required to take medication. And I started getting like all this anger about medication. I was like, why are we making, like, there's something in me that was like, why? Like, why are we making people take medication? Like, I was starting to get prescribed like this one medication that was for, it was for your blood pressure, but they found that it worked for people who had PTSD dreams. So I was like, what? So I tried it once and it was like, I was like, never again. I'm throwing this out. Like, what is this? So you were required to take medication in these programs. Like, that's like the mix is like, okay, we do some therapy and you take medication and this is how you get better. And like something about that was really erupting in me. Like, I was like, this, I don't like, I'm mad. Like, I'm really angry that that's like what this is. And so yeah, so when like I got on that call with you guys and I felt like that real rawness of, and when I say you guys, I say you, Charlotte, and Jeff, like that real rawness of like being alive. And it was like, oh, that feeling, like like I love that. I need that. It's like, it's honesty, it's pure, it's like, it's the moment, it's the like, yeah. So I was in my third outpatient psych program at that time, and I left that and went to Awaken Thy Soul in Costa Rica. And being there and talking about like our numbness bar and just being numb and how do we numb each day, and I'm like realizing that I'm there like taking all these different medications. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on for me. Like, I have no idea what's going on for me. Like, this is numbing. This is sedating these things that are coming up from me for a reason. It was like this total like reframe of like, holy shit, I'm just like, I don't, it's almost like, stagnant water versus a flowing river. I felt like such stagnant water of like just all this shit stuck in my body, and I'm shoving it down and I'm numbing it. And at the same time, it was like it had gotten to such a high point that it was like I felt like I needed it, because it was like I don't know what to do with all of this that's going to come out of the box as I go down on medication.
Wow. Yeah, I was really paying attention to you in the space because for me it was creating a lot of fear in me holding space for it because I'm thinking I don't know how to do this. Like I don't know how to do this because this is new for someone like this to come to us. And what I noticed is that your numbness bar was so high, but when it would blast through, it was like you couldn't stop. It was like there was just so much in this pool you're talking about. There was just so much inside, like layers and layers and lots of years of not feeling, that it just like sprouted, and you just had like these wild feelings. And then the next moment it would be, then you would come down, and then you would be numb again. Like you were able to say something kind of like with no feeling, and then you would realize that you were numb, and then you started to have this meta awareness of yourself, like, wait, i'm I feel something, but I can't feel it.
Mm,
It was really like beautiful, and somehow like, so it brought so much like awareness, I think, to the whole space around like what these kind of medications are really doing to people.
mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's interesting to hear from your perspective on the outside, what it looks and feels like.
Mm.
I remember being really angry, like I wanted to not take my medications that whole week so that I could, because actually what I was really seeking was a place to feel, like, and to let things out and to express and to process, and I could sense that that was the space for it. And so I was angry that I was on this medication because I was like, fuck, like what's the point if I'm just going to be this zombie? And so it was like I remember like, okay, maybe if I take it at night, then it won't be as like active in the morning. Or if I take it really early in the morning, then we do Kundalini, it's like it's out of my system. And then like trying to find all these ways to get it out. And like it's not all of the medications are that easy to get out. And then there's also side effects of coming off of medications. So, which is also a mind fuck, because it's like I know that I have so many of these emotions that are just like spewing out of me that need to spew out of me. But then also what is a side effect? Is there a side effect? This is where I get so lost. I'm like, what is a side effect versus like something I'm feeling or emoting? Is it even a side effect, or is it something that I really just haven't felt, which might have been the first thing that I just said?
Mm.
And what the fuck?
I hear you. Yeah, it's a lot to be doing. It's to be doing at the same time. I mean, both are happening. Like for at least what I was witnessing was that you were experiencing, suddenly you had the space to feel again, and so your feelings cracked this box that the box you were describing, and it opened the door for a lot of emotions, unprocessed, unfinished, incomplete feelings from your past, which there's just piles for most people with or without medication. And then so like that was happening, and the less numb you get, so when the medication isn't in you and you're less numb, there's not a way to like cover it, then it just amplifies. Like there's one coming from here and there's one coming from here, and so it was like you were exploding into
Yes.
awareness. Like you were alive. I mean, you were trembling for a week. Like your body,
Yeah.
I remember like this. I mean, it looked painful. It looked really scary. And it was like, yeah, it was sort of like the ripping the Band-Aid off almost, you know?
Mm. Yes, definitely. And I was in fear that whole week. It was like, it was a lot of fear. And it was, what I'm learning now is it's this fear of like this realness, meeting your edge, right? Meeting this truth.
Mm.
uh, holy shit, I have so much that I need that is like being pushed down and shoved down and continued to be numbed out because I'm on these medications and because of like, the way that modern culture and especially in the US, way things are dealt with. It's like, oh, don't be angry. Oh, don't cry. It's sunny out. Like whatever that is. And it's just it's not the way. And so after that, uh you and I started to work together. And that's what really like gave me the umph and ability to be like, okay, I'm coming off of these because after Awaken Thy Soul, I was in so much fear. I was terrified because I knew what I needed to do, what I wanted to do. And I also knew and was realizing like this toothpick system that I have been relying on and so used to for years that has like not served me, and like leaving that and trusting this new way that feels right but is like, yeah.
Yeah, that was very brave of you to go through that. And yeah, you went. And I actually I remember in the beginning of working with you, it was your feeling and your emotions were, there were so many that like each time you feel, it was like unlocked three or four different storylines, three or four different emotions. And I think at one point after the first couple of weeks, I said, hey, I sense that if you the next step for you is to really get off the medication so that you can be in your clear feeling state. I felt like with the medication and the feelings coming up, it was like you're trying to feelings are trying to bring you alive, and the medication is trying to bring you down, bring you numb and more like okay. And feeling is about, no, I don't need to be okay. I need to be fucking alive. Like, fuck being okay. I want to experience my life. So you were going like this. And so in the sessions, it was really, and I noticed when you really committed to getting all the way off of it, then your emotions, like you had more space to really like excavate, without this thing coming in to stop it. Like you would go really feeling and then you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because like from for me, like, yes, that was definitely happening during the sessions, and then outside of the sessions I was like, okay, I guess I won't take this before the session, but then if I do I take it after the session, because then that's me numbing and I don't want to numb, but I don't want to not take this because then I'm going to have a side effect and like all this like nonsense. And
Oh,
so yeah, no, like what you said to me, you were like, I don't know if we can continue if you keep taking this medication. Like this just like it can't cut through to like the and like that woke something up in me too, where it was like, yeah, like when am I going to decide? Like I can keep saying I want to get off of medication. I can keep saying like this is the plan, right? But like when am I going to start? When am I going to really start? And I also sense right now like that I feel like I haven't even gotten into the part of coming off of medication. So I feel like there's like a part two
yeah.
because that's like a whole journey within itself. Because also what you were saying of like when we were in the space, like I'm also realizing the more I come into my center and realizing what my center is, I'm realizing how strongly I feel other people's feelings and emotions as well. And so that has been confusing as fuck too. And you saying the word excavate is really like on point with what I've been doing as of late, which is like excavating things out of my body energetically of all these like, yeah, like all these old thoughts. And like as I came down from medication, it's like all these new layers of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to like, how do you think people can really do this? Like in, it's two part, like you're tapering down and then you're feeling more alive and so yeah, I guess actually what do you want to share about getting off of it and what's possible now?
I want to share that getting off of it is challenging. It's not easy. And that it is possible. And having the right support, having people in your world that support you feeling things and support you coming off of it. And yeah, to like, there are going to be moments when you really crumble and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And I'm someone that gets a lot of dark thoughts, like a lot of suicidal thoughts. And like through this work, I've learned that those are, like entities and whatnot, which we could get into in another episode.
Yeah, and I also want to like connect with this part of like, so as you've become more alive, because you start feeling more, you realize like, well, the reason that I was taking the medication in the first place is because things weren't going well. Like you didn't, your family, you were saying this boyfriend, like your job, like there were so many reasons why, like, of course you feel like killing yourself because like your life was not what you wanted. You weren't living your purpose. You weren't, connected to your family. You didn't have intimacy. Like that, these things are so important, like for the human wellness. So, like, what is the hardest part about feeling again for you? Like, what do you realize? Like, because for so long you were numbing yourself, and now that you start to feel, like, what are you realizing? Like, what has to change in your life, or what has this like really given you the energy, the life force to actually do something different?
Thank you for that question. I, yeah, doing this and becoming more alive is, yeah, coming off of the medication, it's showing me it's like, first of all, well, going through all these processes and stuff, I'm seeing how much the medication wasn't doing, like that it really wasn't serving me at all. And feeling alive and feeling things, it's like there's so much more possible in the moment. And like to be able to connect to someone else and to be able to connect to myself and to build a relationship with myself where it's like I trust myself more and it's shown me that I'm strong, like that I can do this, like that, just because it's like, oh my God, all this fucking programming of like bullshit that I'm not okay, that like I don't deserve to be here, that like I have to follow this like 9 to 5 track. It's like, no, everything that I've always known is right. And everything that I need is within me. And I like, and once you make this decision, it's like you have to keep making the decision. You have to keep making it every single day because, like, what I'm noticing is I just, yeah, it's like you keep fighting. You have to keep fighting and you get stronger. And then you look back and you're like, holy shit, I'm 1000% different than I was like 3 months ago. Like, I am this new being. And then you keep going. And like that's what I'm doing. It's like I'm not this like whole healed whatever because like I get like off medication and like going through processes. It's like no, now I'm alive.
Yeah.
Now I can begin.
So beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for that.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. And like what you just shared that now now that you're just in the flow, like as you say, you're doing the processes, you're in the process of healing, you're now like in the river of life. And then that is like you made it somehow to the always going, like there is no end. It's just like you are alive
Yeah.
and then you're going to feel things and you're going to be sad about things. You're going to be fucking angry about things. And there's nothing wrong with you. And it's not like a problem, it's not like something you need to fix. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, Mara is sad. Fuck yeah, Mara is angry. She cares about something. Oh, she's sad. Yes, she loves, she cares. And I feel your aliveness, like in the way that you talk about it. And I'm just really like so celebrating you for doing this really fucking hard thing. It's so beautiful and it's just thank you for doing you and for going for it. And yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I feel this is a good moment to wrap it up for this session. The last couple sentences you said were just like, wow, wow, wow. Um, and I want to invite our audience to jump in if you have any questions or comments. And we have something here from Linda. And she says, I am just documenting things I'm feeling. I may have to leave soon, so I just wanted to share. I can relate to you so deeply. I have so many similar threads. I have tears down my face. Thank you for doing this. It's so important. I'm in awe of your courage, and I see my young self in you at your age. I'm 46, not having any awareness or possibilities to do this. I'm so proud and happy for you that our world is changing. We belong. We have feelings, and they are not to be suppressed. We are enough. There's a different way of living. We have so much intelligence inside of us. We belong. We as humans have become so disconnected, and I'm so happy that this work and community is allowing us to come back into ourselves to remember who we are. Yes, there's nothing wrong with us. Yes, feelings and emotions. Some hearts and some prayer hands. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Linda.
Wow. Okay. Anyone else have a question or a comment? And if not, we will close the space. Okay. How about instead we all unmute ourselves and celebrate Mara?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, am I unmuted?
I tried to type up my question and comment quickly, but I'm gonna say it.
Yes, no, I want to
Uh,
say it.
First of all, Mara, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. I know so many people that can relate to this deeply, and just by hearing you, I know that it can move something in them. But I wanted to ask specifically about support. So you talked about how when you were younger as a teenager, you had this moment that you tried to ask a friend for support, and that friend kind of not only didn't hear you, but kind of did the opposite of what you asked. And I'm sure that was um, traumatizing to say the least. And I want to ask today, what helps you communicate your needs to the people that you need support from in order to get the support in the way that you need.
Thank you for your question. What really, excuse me, I've learned to ask for what I need through doing this work and through working with Charlotte and through being part of this women's group and learning that if I don't ask for what I need, nobody else is going to, because nobody knows what I need, and that I really have to take care of myself, which means making sure I have other people around to help take care of me. Like, it means, yeah, so to answer this in a way that helps someone listening is when or if you encounter someone who totally disregards what you're going through and what you're experiencing and who you are, and almost does something shady towards you, to really see that as like that's where they are at, and that you are not wrong, that you are welcome in these spaces that I am now in, and that Charlotte has created, and that finding people who understand that feeling is okay is really vital. I don't know if that answers the question, but
I want to add something, which is kind of what I heard, what I'm picking out from what you said is that to get your needs met now, you've created an environment and a community and a tribe so that you can reach out to people. Like you've made it almost impossible for yourself to slip out, you know.
yes.
uh,
Very agree.
you've created a community.
Okay, I just want to quickly blow dry my hair. I have it. I'll just.
And and yeah, I think Oneg's question is like, how do you ask? So you do it by creating this community, and also you do it by asking, is what I heard. Like asking for what you need. Like, I need
Yeah.
to know, dear you, will you support me?
Yes. And so like what I'm feeling right now is like when I'm in a place of like I need something and I feel so small and I feel like I'm not worthy of getting something I need or asking for what I need, I'm like, okay, Maura, this is when you go. This is when you ask.
Mm.
And it's like it's doing that, and it's like I don't know if you need to like close your eyes and like la 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 like while you're like asking for help, like whatever it is, to just like really just be like, okay, I need this, and to know that like that is the way. Because so many times I've had to be like, okay, like this is very real, but like killing myself is not an option. Like that's not the option. Going backwards is not the option. Numbing myself is not the option, because that doesn't make me happy. Like what makes me happy? It's feeling alive. It's connecting with other people. Okay, I have to go. I have to do this. I have to ask for what I need because I need it. And if I don't do that, then other people won't do that. And so like thinking about the bigger I, the we, is also helpful for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm feeling this. The alligator closing the. Just want to check and see if Lauren has anything. If not, we will close. Okay. Thank you, Maura. Thank you, audience team. And
Thank you, Charlotte.
okay, I have no idea how to close this, so my best idea is
Oh shit. On three.
okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Yay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Bye.
Bye.